Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. It is Wednesday at 11:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to jump right into this. I have been kind of going through, and I do this pretty often, but I just don't always share it. I've been going through Bitcoin's price history and the various market cycles, and I'm going to settle on the most recent market cycle and then the one before it. The 2017. This is about when I got into crypto. It was around, when I first got into crypto, it was around August. So I got into crypto about August. I was learning, doing my thing. And then around November, rather. I think it was like November 4th or something like that. 2017 is when I started my YouTube channel. And of course, everything you did back then kind of turned to gold in a sense. And it was all very, very new. But that's about when I got into crypto. And then I started studying these market moves and so forth. Now, what I've done is I've kind of mapped out the peaks related to the bottoms, related to the halvings. And if you look at the 2017 peak, you can see that between the 2017 peak and the 2018 bottom, there was 52 weeks in this time frame. There was about 364 days, so a little over a year. And we bottomed out. We were above, but touched this 200 moving average. Okay, so we basically bounced off of that into a sideways pattern between the bottom and the halving, which was only 154 days apart. Okay, so that was one cycle. And then we started to move up just before the halving. And then we went up, and then we came all the way back down to that 200 moving average. So the FOMO and the hype and everything around the halving, basically the cutting of Bitcoin mining production by 50%, leading to a lower supply entering the market against a supposed higher demand. That's all basically what the profit and loss oh my gosh, I can't even remember I can't even remember the name of the indicator. There's so many. I'm always looking at so many, and then they skip my mind. Must be my gray beard mentality. Just old minds forgetting so many things. I probably have forgotten more stuff than a lot of people learn in crypto in general. That's just the nature of getting old. But anyway, so we had that cycle, and that was all very clean, right? I mean, it was pretty much, we had a peak, we had a bottom, we had a halving, and into the next run. And then some significant things happened around 2020, right? We're all pretty well aware of everything that started kicking off in 2020 and how the world started changing as a whole. All of these new narratives, we completely switched administrations. We basically, everything flipped on a dime. And in that, our economy started changing. Now, I know that a lot of people want to hold true to the 4-year cycles of Bitcoin, the 4-year cycles of the crypto markets and so forth. But what are we seeing? So for years, I've been talking about how there's going to be a day when the traditional markets are tokenized, right? There's going to be a day when regulation really comes in, focuses on cleaning up and controlling the space in a major way. There's so many different narratives associated with this. And so it's obvious that the global economy is changing in a substantial way. And be that as it may, it really broke up this market cycle. We didn't have this big parabolic run and we were done. What we had was a 2-peak market. And with this 2-peak market, it leaves a lot to the question of, should this have been pushed over further into one parabolic run, which is what we've seen previous to almost all of these cycles, or previous to this cycle and all other cycles leading up to it. And why did we get a 2-peak market? And why did this 2-peak cycle come down and break itself to what I consider to be a fake bottom so prematurely to the next halving. And if I think about things with my train of thought, the way I look at so much, I believe that this is all part of a quote unquote great reset, which is probably going to flag some rip banner on this video because I'm talking about it. And I'm not trying to make a bunch of bold false claims about anything. Okay. I'm not trying to play any kind of conspiracy theorist. Okay. That's not my goal here. But what I am saying is that it's blatantly obvious that there are some very significant changes happening in our economy, in our markets, the whole nine. And you also have to keep in mind that prior to this, the retail housing market, the commercial markets, the traditional stock markets, everything was in a boom. Everything was booming for the most part. And then once this emergency, I guess we'll just call it, once this emergency started kicking off around 2020, actually it was a little before 2020. I mean, if we want to be real about it, I mean, this was before the regime change in the US. This started kicking off right at the tail end of that. And it started changing everything. So many major moves were made, even in the first month of this new administration. So many executive orders. I'm changing this. I'm getting rid of that. I'm gonna, whatever, right? And we started seeing this whole change in systems pretty much immediately. How that's faring for all of us now, I guess that's up to your own perception. Some of us live in a bubble and we don't really see things. Some of us are so wealthy we have no idea what's even going on to the people below us. But that's a whole other topic. But given that so much has changed, we saw that this became a two-peak cycle, and we went down pretty quickly. So now the question is, when is the bottom? What is the bottom? Has the bottom hit? Has it not hit? And all I'm looking to do in this video is to ultimately just get you thinking. I'm not trying to tell you when the bottom is or if it's happened or not. It's really not my goal in this video. But basically just to show you some of the differences between this market and the previous market. And you can take these metrics if you want and look at previous markets to that and compare all of them. But ultimately, this is basically showing, like, compared to where we supposedly have bottomed already, this was exactly the same as the previous market. 52 bars, 364 days from the second peak to the supposed bottom. However, this was in the last market, we only had 22 bars or 154 days until the next halving. Well, with our current situation, this is basically saying we have 75 bars or 525 days from this supposed bottom to the next halving. That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense to me, because this yellow line right here is where we should bottom if we were to be exactly like the previous cycle. 52 bars, 154 days. That should only give this window for bottom to halving to a potential run up in a reversal of the market cycle into a bear or a bull market. We're not seeing that, which leads me to believe that the actual bottom is going to be somewhere in this green window, somewhere between where the fake bottom was announced and the start of this 154-day countdown to the next halving. So we have a lot of time. We have a long time between now and then. If we were to look at that time frame, we're talking about, hold on, here we go. So between the date of the actual or the fake bottom, as I call it, to when we should bottom is 371 days. 371 days, which leaves us, I grabbed the wrong thing, which leaves us with, from where we're at right now, about 308 days left. Almost a year to finagle what I believe will be a real bottom somewhere closer to between 9,500 and 11,000. That's what I think. If you don't like it, that's okay. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm seeing. This is how I feel. This is my feeling. Since feelings are extremely important today, this is my feeling. And this video identifies as a not bottom in yet video. I shouldn't crack jokes, but just, I see all of it. I see all of the comments. Now, I did post on Twitter and I said, listen, there's one thing that I saw in like historically, right? I made the comment historically. So one thing I've always seen when Bitcoin bottoms, and that's that Cardano drops an additional 20%. That has happened. From the date of this fake bottom, Cardano did drop, in fact, another 21% before it reversed. Then somebody posted on the tweet and said, historically, ha ha ha, with one data point, I've got news for you. 99% of history was defined by one singular event. Call it what you will. Just because something hasn't happened concurrently or over and over, redundantly, over a period of years and decades does not mean that it wasn't a historical action. Look at everything Napoleon did. All of these big battles, these big wars. Is World War II a historic data point worth mentioning, or does it not matter so much because the same thing hasn't happened multiple times? Use your heads, folks. Stop trying to be so cocky about everything all the time. The fact is that historically, Cardano did drop 20%. Now it's happened twice. So now you have two data points. If, in fact, the bottom is in. If it's not, then that data point doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just means that when a supposed bottom hits, Cardano is likely, and not just Cardano, but the majority of the altcoin space continues to drop a little bit more than Bitcoin does at the same in that time frame. So, yeah, given where we're at right now, this is what I'm seeing. This is my window. So, and I do believe that this is going to play out. We have too much time. Why do I believe that we are going to get even a bigger bottom? Well, it's not just about the time in between the peak and the bottom is against the halving and so forth. It's because all of those major players in traditional markets, traditional finance, stocks, real estate, you name it. They are all looking at ways of integrating themselves, integrating their businesses, integrating their new business models, integrating all of these new. I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there that are already privy to some of the regulations coming down the pipe. They all have relationships. They all have connections to people on the inside, and I'm sure have a pretty good idea as to what's coming. This is what these corporations pay for when they're lobbying for new bills and laws and all kinds of structure to help them benefit their shareholders, so forth and so on. Okay. Us little people out here, we don't know. All we can do is play a guessing game. But what do we know that we don't have to guess about? We know that Larry Fink went on a big interview recently and said that traditional stock markets are going to be tokenized. He is the most powerful CEO probably on the planet, okay? Even above Elon Musk. Elon Musk is one of the wealthiest, but he is by no means the most powerful, okay? Larry Fink is of BlackRock. And when that man speaks, I pay attention. Because when that man speaks now, and also if you look at Larry Fink and you look at BlackRock and their overall business model and all of these things they're involved with, what are they involved with? Well, everything, all markets across the board, as well as a lot of this whole kind of climate change effort, this ESG stuff. All of this is basically, Larry Fink is a big proponent of it. And he's also very much related to like the WEF and groups like that ultimately have the power to change everything and anything they want. Okay. And when they say that the markets are going to be tokenized, I believe that. What do I think they're waiting on? They're waiting on a lot of this regulation to become public, become put into effect. And, and that's what I think a lot of this lull is going to be about. And do I think all of this was structured to work out a certain way? I don't know. I believe it could be. Let's face it. I want you to think about this. because this is the way I look at the world. If you were a major CEO of a major corporation that managed trillions of dollars, and you had something like Aladdin, which is this like AI driven system that can basically trade markets and see patterns and do all kinds of things. Look at it from a political standpoint, where you have people that are running for office and you have people in their ear saying, do this, don't do that. If you wear this color, you're going to appeal to these people. And if you wear that color, you're going to appeal to those people. And if you do this with your hand, it's going to trigger these groups. And you have all these people that are ultimately structuring this whole kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but this presentation, right? And these people know how to make us react in a way that benefits them. They also know how we are going to react to certain things happening in the world based off of time, based off of who's involved, based off of, I mean, you name it. And not only that, but now we've seen they can also control so much of the narrative that we absorb and live our lives by, and basically either subscribe to or push away from to something else that's also very much controlled. My point is, we are all lemmings. We love to think that we know something we don't. We love to try and figure out what's really going on behind the scenes, behind the veil. We love to think that we're somehow special, or that we somehow can react or come up with the solution to something that they don't want us to. Okay. And to some degree we do. But we're never able to get any of those real ideas or those trains of thought off the ground. Why? Because we're fighting a machine that is far, far greater than all of us. My point to all of this is that in order to fully understand some of the things that happen in the world or in the markets or in the economy or you name it, you really have to take yourself outside of your normal brain, your normal train of thought, your normal methods for understanding what's going on in the world around you. And you have to be able to dive into a lot of things that may not excite you, may not interest you, may not be all that fun. But if you really want to have an idea as to what's happening, you have to be able to and be willing to spend a lot of time educating yourself and trying to understand what those above you think and do and why. And so when I say that the market is playing out in a way that could very well be structured, well, if you look at the similarities between what's been happening in this market cycle compared to the NASDAQ of, almost 2 decades ago, you can see that. Does this stuff happen by natural circumstances given where the market's at? Is really all of this based off of retail speculation? And how much of it is controlled? If you have an algorithm that is able to make market moves that the retail market is going to react to in a certain way, it's very, very much easy to control a market and change its structure over time. Because as things happen, we get more and more acclimated to understanding and expecting certain things to happen. All of this is new for us in crypto, but for a lot of the major players in traditional markets who have seen market cycles just like this, the Wyckoff accumulation and distribution, do you think that system exists because it's just the natural course of things? Or do you think that it's something that has been adopted and established over time by those in the know? And so they're able to make these moves understanding what retail speculative investors are going to do based off of certain conditions that they in fact impose on the marketplace to get that specific reaction. Are you following what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to explain is that I believe that so much of this to some degree is orchestrated by those with the power to do so, and the rest of us just follow suit blindly, trying to make sense of it without any clear understanding as to what's going on above us. And in order to really understand what's going on above us, we have to have the means to look. I don't even have those means. All I can try to do is take in and read between the lines and connect the dots that make the most sense and try and share that with everybody the best I can. But in terms of where we're at in the market right now, I don't believe we've bottomed yet. If we have, well, then I'll be wrong. I've already started averaging in. what I will leave this video with is by saying, I do believe that now is likely a good time to start averaging in, either on a bi-weekly or monthly basis. Not financial advice, it's just what I plan to do, what I'm kind of doing, okay? Because I could be wrong and the bottom is in. Maybe we go sideways for 6 to 9 months. Maybe not much happens between now and then. Maybe we don't go much lower. But I also have to ask myself this question. If we didn't go lower than we are now, why? When market sentiment is down, even though a lot of these people, we see all these articles saying, these whales are moving in, these bulls are moving in, and all these people are entering the market. Are they though? Are they though? Maybe some of them are starting to average down and average in with the same mentality that I have and say, listen, now's a good time because we're low is low. And even if we go a little bit lower, okay, so I cut some of my potential profit in half, my accumulation, but I can continue averaging down, so it doesn't really much matter. We're so low now that even if there's 6 months of another downward trend and I'm averaging in throughout that trend, I'm going to average out. I'm going to average out to a very comfortable position. Definitely better than where it would be if I were to just go in all right now. So I'm seeing some of that, and yes, that may be the case. But ultimately, I do believe we're going to go lower. And if we don't, well, then that's fine. I've already started averaging in, and most people that are of a similar mindset probably have as well. And I know I am plagued. I want to know this bottom. I do want to call the bottom. Some people say, why do you care so much about calling the bottom? Because I called the 2-peak market when nobody else was, and damn it, I want to conclude the cycle for myself mentally. That's why, because it's a challenge. And I'm trying to do so much to try and understand what's going on so that I can try and help other people make sense of it as well. But don't trade on my advice, because I'm always right sometimes. I am not always accurate in my calls or what I think or what I believe in anything, and everything does happen in the crypto space. That's also why you never invest more than you can afford to lose, because right now it is all still very much a game, and everyone should be nothing short of safe and secure in the actions that you make and the moves that you make in this market. I'm just some guy on YouTube. That doesn't really matter to anybody. 10 years from now, I doubt my name will even be remembered for anything I've done over the past several years or the last 5 years. That's okay. But for those who I'm trying to actively help understand what may be happening behind the scenes, maybe those people will remember what I'm doing and what I'm saying and why, and we all grow better from it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll live with that. I accept that. But in the meantime, I'm just doing the best I can to try and educate you. Until next time, guys, grow your coins, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Have a great Wednesday.